So just so you know, it is being recorded. And we'll go ahead and get started. If you are here, then there's no reason to do a write-up. I go ahead and give you points for the, the that section of the grade book. Sorry, I'm trying to think of too many things at one time right now. So if you are here, you automatically get points for, I'm just trying to look for the, what do they call it in the grade book? So the week 1, let's see, webinar. Okay. And boy, yeah, we just have a few people in this class, so we may have everybody here right now. So let's see, I've got Madeline and Megan and Trina. So looks like we got everybody here. So I'm going to go ahead and give everyone points in the grade book for being here. So I'll just do that right now. That's kind of my way to take roll too. So looks like everybody's got points. All right. So now that everyone's here, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to put on my webcam, not to frighten you here, because you'll see me appear on your screen, but I just wanted to give you a chance to put a face to the name. Okay, so there we go. So hello, everyone. I just wanted to say hello. My name is Jim Zone, and I've been teaching for National for several years. My oldest daughter is 17 years old, and I started teaching when she, about a month after she was born. So I've been teaching for National for about 17 years. I've been teaching for middle school for about 25 years. I didn't spend all that time in the classroom. I did spend a little bit of time, spent about 4 years out of the classroom in the educational technology department for my district. And it was just me for a little while, and then myself and one other teacher. We were teachers on special assignment, and we ran the educational technology department. So that was kind of a fun break, and now I'm back in the classroom, and I'm getting to put to use all the stuff that I talked about and trained teachers on when I was in the ed tech department. So that's kind of fun to be able to be in the classroom and use that stuff. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my webcam here just to maybe save a little bit of bandwidth, although it seems like our bandwidth is pretty good right now. Well, back when we were on DSL and things like that, sometimes we had to save it, but I'll go ahead and just turn my video off and then just go by audio here. If it helps anybody to be able to see me, then you can let me know and I'll turn it back on. It's not a big deal. But I'll go ahead and turn it off for right now. Okay, so video is off, but you should still be able to hear me. If something happens and suddenly you can't hear me or whatever, I am monitoring the chat room as well. So you can just go ahead and put something in the chat room, and then I will hopefully see it there very soon and be able to remedy whatever it is. All right, so this is our first webinar. We're going to go over a few things tonight. Here's our agenda for the evening. Just some general class questions. People might want to know when grades get posted and things like that, so I'll go over some of those things. We're going to go over the week 1 assignments really quickly because a lot of it is in the class, in our class website anyway. So I'd just be repeating things that you can go ahead and read on your own. We'll have some open questions at the end. At that point, you're welcome to leave whenever you're ready. I'm sure if you're in the Pacific time zone, like I am, it's getting close to dinner time, so you might have other things that you want to attend to. And then I already took roll and gave points in the grade book, so we're doing fine on that one there. So let's go ahead and move on then. So first of all, a lot of people want to know when grades will be posted. Sometimes that's obviously very important to people. So basically what I do is the Tuesday or after the week that the class ends. So the class is going to end on the Saturday, the 4th Saturday that we're in this class, which is a little bit different. Most of the classes for National, you have until Sunday to turn everything in. But remember, the last week of class, everything's due on Saturday, so it's 1 day early. If I get it, things get crazy sometimes. If you need a little bit of extra time, pretty much for any of the week, especially since we have such a small group here, then go ahead and just let me know. Say, hey, I need an extra, day or whatever, and most likely it won't be a problem. I can go ahead and give you a little extra time. In fact, if you find yourself on Saturday night, it's 11:30 at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, something like that, and you are still uh, working on an assignment, desperately trying to get that assignment in before the deadline or as quickly afterward as you can, then just feel free to go ahead and send me a note and say, hey, it's late, I'll have it in by tomorrow or whatever. And I'd rather you get a good night's rest, than beat yourself up trying to get things done. So I can be pretty flexible about that. At least in this class we can, because it's so short. So just all that to say that that Tuesday right there, you want to make sure that everything is ready to be graded before the Tuesday, the week after the class ends, because I'm going to hopefully be able to post grades that Tuesday. Um, and so if everything isn't ready, then obviously I can't. All grades are posted at the same time. If one student is ready, I'm kind of looking into this, see if maybe this is different. But as far as I know, than what I think it is. As far as I know, though, all grades have to be posted at the same time. So if we're waiting for one student to finish up that last assignment, everybody's kind of waiting for their grades. So keep that in mind. Like I said, I do get it. Life happens. Crazy things occur sometimes, and you need just a little bit of extra time. And I'm more than willing to work with you on that. But keep in mind. If it's just, you've got better things to do than finish up that assignment, then keep in mind that, which I'm sure it isn't for you guys, but keep in mind that if one of us doesn't have everything done, everybody's kind of waiting for that student to finish everything. When it comes to discussion boards, especially in a class like this where there's so few people, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge because we only have, I think there's only 3 in the class, believe it or not, which is kind of great for me because I can, get my grading done a lot easier, and I can hopefully give you some really good insights on the grading as well, because it's just so few people. So be a little more individualized too, which would be kind of nice. For discussion boards, though, you want to try to go in there and answer them, as early as you can. That doesn't mean, Sunday night you have to go in there and do that. But if everybody waits until Friday night to get them done, then remember you have to respond to other people. So um, that just makes it tougher for people. So the earlier you can get in there and start, posting your responses and responding to other people, the better off it is. Remember, it does say to respond to at least 2 other students, and I think for you guys, there are exactly 2 other students. So you'll probably get to know each other fairly well because you'll be responding to each other. And then I might get in there too and respond to you guys as well, obviously. So you're welcome to respond to me as well if you'd like to. But don't forget about that because usually there are points in the grade book for discussion boards that you get a certain amount of points for responding to other students. So don't just respond to my question, but respond to other students. And then it does say, I think it labels it a substantive response. So that just means don't just say, ditto, great job, love it, something like that, but actually respond to what the person is saying and give them some feedback or, something, make it a bit of a substantial response there. With that said, though, it doesn't have to be paragraphs and paragraphs. But just make sure it's a little more than just yay, thumbs up, or whatever. If there are responses that are like multiple questions within one, sometimes that happens. If you've been at National for a while, you probably already realized this. It'll say, what is your thought on this, and how would you use this in the classroom? Well, that's really 3 questions in one. So you could help me out a lot and help yourself out too if you label the parts of your responses just so I can find it very easily. I can say, oh, there's their response to that part of the question, and that was worth a couple of points. And there's their response to this part of the question, and that was worth 3 points or whatever. I just don't want to miss anything in there if I'm reading a couple of paragraphs of a response or a rather, a lengthier response. I don't want to miss anything and say, oh, I don't think I read anything about this, and that was worth 3 points, so you lost 3 points. So if you label that, that does help. If you can do that. It's not a requirement, but it sure helps us out if you can do that. Okay, we do have some weekly meetings. Whoop, looks like I jumped a little bit there. Sorry about that. We do have some weekly meetings in here. Week 1, obviously, is here in Blackboard. I felt like since it was our first meeting, it's kind of important to get in there and say hello to everyone and kind of go over the format of the class live. Week 2 and 3, especially since we have a little bit of a smaller class, depending on how you guys feel about it, maybe I'll pre-record a meeting and post it on YouTube or something like that, and then you can go into YouTube, watch the recording, and put comments below or something like that. I can tell you a little more about that later. Just kind of depends on what works for you guys. Some people really like those pre-recorded meetings because they don't have to be here at a certain time. They can just go watch it whenever they want. And sometimes the pre-recorded meetings, since it's just me saying I have to cover this material, I can go through it a little more succinctly, a little more efficiently, so they tend to be a little shorter sometimes too. So just depends on what you guys want. But we'll talk more about that as we get into the week and start thinking about week 2 and 3. If you are, like I said here, I get it, life happens. If you do miss a meeting, you can't make it to a live one, if we do the rest of them live or however we do them, then there is a way to make up the meeting. And basically what you do is you go watch the recording, and then you go in, and I'm going to try to see if I can go in and show you guys on my screen what the process is for that, just in case. Basically, you do a short write-up of what your thoughts were on the meeting. So I'm seeing if I can find that really quickly. So reflection, there we go. Okay, so it says, I'll go ahead and share my screen here and show you where it is, and you can probably go find it on your own too. But let me go ahead and let's see. So I'm going to share my screen here, and there we go. Okay, so at this point you should be looking at, I hope, you should be looking at where it says webinar makeups. I just highlighted most of that, because that's basically where you can go in and find out if you miss a webinar, how do you make up the points, because there are points in the gradebook. There's 50 points that are in the gradebook tonight, which everybody got because you're here, obviously. But if you miss one, what can you do? So it shows you, you can listen to the recorded session and complete the assignment reflection, okay? You can negotiate an alternative assignment. So there are a few things that you can do. And then it says how to write up your reflection. So basically there's some guidelines. I'm not expecting in this a whole, I'm not expecting a thesis on this. Basically, I'm just expecting a short reflection. Basically, I'm opening up this real quickly so we can see what that looks like. But I'm expecting a whole lot of, just pages and pages here. I'm expecting a short reflection of, what it was if you missed the live webinar, if we choose to do that. So my computer's going a little slow here, so I'll just get out of this in a minute if it doesn't process here as fast as I would like it to. Okay. So notice it says it's a brief assignment. You guys should be looking at the Word document here. It's a brief assignment, right? It's a reflective essay. It's just a couple of paragraphs is all it is, and it kind of just gives you some thoughts about what you can put into that on this document right here, which is right below, right where it says how to write up your reflection. So not a thesis or anything, but there are some details there. Whoops, looks like I better stop sharing my screen here. So let's see, and sharing application, and I'm going to stop sharing that. Go back here, and start sharing this again. Okay, all right, let's go back to that. Hopefully that was fairly clear here. Okay, week 4. I'm going to talk more about week 4 because it's a little bit different, I believe. But we'll talk more about that for the weekly meetings as we approach week 4. I'll give you plenty of heads up on that too. Rubrics, you just always want to check the rubrics. It's always a little sad when you go in there and it says, this section is worth 50 points, and you look at the student's assignment and they don't have that section, and you really don't have much of a choice but to subtract 50 points from that because it was worth that many points in the rubric. So just check that rubric and make sure that you include everything in the rubric if there is a rubric included with the assignment. Okay, how you guys feeling? You guys feeling okay? Am I going through it too fast? Trying to just, do I still have you guys here? Do you guys all go off and go get something to drink or go to Starbucks and get a Frappuccino or something? See, I'm not getting any response. I'm thinking you guys, there we go. Okay. Oh, good, good, good. All right, I'm just kidding. But all right, let's go ahead and continue then. So let's see where we are. And okay, weekly meetings, went over that. So let's go ahead. The discussion that we are, or what we're talking about this week are assessments. And we're basically talking about formative versus summative assessments. So formative and summative assessments. Formative assessments, I'll give you just the 25 words or less, or maybe 100 words or less of what I think formative assessments are and summative assessments. So formative are assessments that I use in the classroom kind of on the fly. So I'm teaching math. We're going over division of fractions. I don't quite know that they're getting the whole change flip concept or whatever, whatever it is that we're covering. So I just do a quick assessment. I go into Google Classroom. I can ask a quick question really quickly. I put an example on the board. What's the answer to this? And I just have them put in the answer, and I can really quickly go, okay, looks like, most of you guys are getting this, or most of you guys aren't getting this. Or I might even notice something as I do this quick assessment within my class, or, kind of during the class. I do this quick assessment. I might notice, oh, it looks like most people are doing this. You're flipping both fractions instead of just one, or something like that. And then I can use that formative assessment that I just did in order to kind of change course in my class, or to guide me in my class of what the students need. I've always taken that to be formative assessments. Summative assessments, I've always taken as that's the chapter test. That's after I've gone through the test, we've taught everything. I'm going to give them a grade on this. It's going to go in the grade book. I want to know, did you understand the material that we just went over? Those are summative assessments for me. So maybe that was more than 100 words. Sorry about that. But what do you guys think? So you can type in the chat room. I'll go ahead and go in the chat room there. What do you guys think? Do you agree with me on formative and summative assessments? Do you think that seems to be what it is for you too, or do you have a little different spin on it? You can go ahead and type it in the chat room, or if you want to grab a mic and click on the microphone down at the bottom. Most computers come with them anyway, and you're welcome to just do that and talk. If you're really brave, you can show us on video and wave to us. However you guys want to do it. Formative and summative assessments. Okay, so Madeline agrees with me. Formative assessments drive instruction. Good way to put it. And interventions and summative assessments are cumulative tests. Yeah, that's exactly, you said it in way less than 100 words. So very good, Madeline. I like that. Very similar. Summative is also projects and performance tasks. Okay, good thing to ask. So it doesn't always have to be a test, a multiple choice thing, or a fill in the blank. It can be a project where you just have them create something. That's even better, right? To have them create something or perform some function or something like that to see if they really got it. I like that. Exit tickets as formative assessments. All right, so just a daily thing, maybe not even be at the end of a chapter or something, but did you get what we were talking about today? So you get that exit ticket, and then that also allows you to plan for the next lesson, because you can look at those exit tickets and see if they really got it. If they did, move on. If they didn't, maybe go a roundabout there and try it again. Okay, good. I think we kind of covered the purpose of each. You guys did that in 25 words or less. You're much more succinct than I am. I like it. So I think we got some of the purposes. I think we have a little bit about how you use them in your classroom. We saw Megan likes to use exit tickets, and you can use those as formative assessments to plan the next lesson. What about the rest of you guys? How about how do you use these in your classroom? So give me some ideas on that. Again, if you feel like talking, you can just grab a mic, or you can type it in there if you'd like to. Exit tickets, yeah, those seem to be a popular one. Online quizzing that are formative. Yeah, I do a lot of online quizzing too. Okay, discussion posts, mini quizzes on Google Forms. I was just going to say to Madeline, I was going to say, where do you do your online quizzes? I use Google Forms. Love Google Forms, by the way. Google Classroom and Google Forms and pretty much Google anything when it comes to Google Docs and Sheets and things like that, or whatever. Google Forms to Kahoot, good, good, excellent. Exit tickets are usually online, so I can collect and organize the data. That's great. Yeah, I'm thinking when you got to collect, a piece of paper from each student, that just takes me a while. Something like Google Forms, if you can put just a little bit of effort into it, can give you some good charts and graphs and things like that. Schoolology. Okay, I'm going to have to write that one down. I've heard that name before, but I haven't played with it myself. And I get some of my best ideas. I look really good on my campus because I've listened to you guys in my national classes. That's how I heard about Edpuzzle, things like that. Quiz is, oh, okay, all right. There's a couple of them I can check out. You guys are good. All right, so Quiz, IZZ there, it looks like. Okay, cool. You prefer quizzes to Kahoot. All right, so good. I'm going to check that one out because I think my kids are eventually going to get bored of Kahoot because everybody knows about Kahoot. 5 years ago or whatever it was when I was doing Kahoots, maybe 4 years ago, it was all new and the kids loved it. But now everybody seems like is using Kahoot. So I'm kind of looking for my next Kahoot there, which maybe Quiz is. Because my kids will eventually get bored with it. It'll be like Facebook. They'll think, oh, everybody's there. And they'll want to get out of there. Teach third grade, they still love it. Yeah, my kids do too. I teach sixth grade, and they still love it too. But I'm just kind of predicting there's going to be a day when I'm walking down the hallway and, 3 teachers down the hallway of 6 or whatever all have a Kahoot going. I'm thinking, yeah, my time is limited on Kahoot there maybe. I don't know. Maybe they'll keep loving it. Okay, so let's see. Those are good examples, great examples. Thank you very much. Google Forms, I really like. Google Forms can give you some really quick assessments, can tell you, what questions students had problems with, give you some charts and graphs, things like that really easily. So I like Google Forms. I'm sold on that one. I like Google Forms and, Kahoot and those kind of things too, because I can reuse them and I can even make them a little better the next year. I can fine-tune things. I don't have to recreate the entire thing over again, which is nice. All right, let's go ahead and move on to data. And what do you do with your data? So you get, I don't know, we have Illuminate is what we use, Illuminate Ed, I think it is, the website, I believe. So we get all this data at the end of, benchmarks and things like that. What do you guys do with it? And you are more than welcome to be the typical, no, I shouldn't say typical, but I'm saying more than welcome to be the real teacher in the room and say, I don't do anything with it because I don't have time. That's completely acceptable. I've gotten a lot of data on my students and used very little of it in my classroom, to be completely honest, because I'm too busy trying to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow or creating a Kahoot or something like that that I know my kids are going to enjoy. But maybe you guys are different than me. What do you think? Regroup students. Okay. All right. Awesome. Drives instructions, allows me to reteach. Okay. Use formative data than summative. All right. I like it. Okay. Now maybe I'm thinking more of, I notice you guys are putting formative data and summative data, and yes, I agree completely that that drives instruction. Okay. Results from formative assessment to plan. There's a topic to reteach. Good, good, good. Yeah. Okay. Win time and data helps me make small groups. Okay. So explain win time to me, Megan, if you can. I have not heard that. Maybe I'm just been teaching for too long and I have not heard that acronym. So I'd be curious to know if that's just something you do in your class or something I've just missed. What I need. Oh, cool. Okay, RCHAPTER. Okay, yeah, response intervention. Okay. RTI, I like it. So what I need, I like that. I have to use that too. I like it. Okay, so yeah, I would say every day for 30 minutes. Okay, awesome. Fantastic. You guys are good. You guys are good. I like it. I would say that, yeah, I agree with you guys. These formative assessments and these summative assessments within my classroom where I'm going in and, like the example before, posting a question real quick about keep, change, flip, teaching division of fractions. I use that almost immediately, if not immediately, to drive instruction. I can be driving one way at 65 miles per hour and then do a quick formative assessment. It may be even something really simple by, formative assessment to me could be looking over students' shoulders, listening to questions, and, realizing, no, we got to slow down here and go left for a little while because we're not quite all on the same page. So I do completely agree that that type of assessment is very useful for me in my classroom. What I was thinking more of is when we get, our, end of the year testing and, those kind of things, when we get that data, that doesn't have as much impact as I would like in my classroom. And maybe it's just too much to cull through. But I like what you guys are saying about the formative and summative assessment. That's good. Okay, do your students do anything with it? So if they have a test, let's just, real simple, they have a test and they bomb the test and they realize, oh, I missed these 7 questions on this 10-point test or whatever. Do your students do anything with it? Or do you make them do anything with it? Might be a more appropriate question. Kids write goals for themselves. You guys are great. This is good stuff. So you have them look at what they need. 6th grade math. I teach 6th grade math too. I'm just thinking, yeah, that's a great idea. After a test, look at that test, figure out what you didn't understand, write a goal for yourself for the for the next time, or maybe even just going back on that and figuring out this is math. You need to know this stuff. You can't just move on. Go over answers together and they know what they need to work on when they're regrouped. Okay. I just do test corrections. I do test corrections as well and quiz corrections. Good. To make up some points, I do the same thing, Megan. Sounds like our classrooms have some similarities there. That's good. Okay. All right. Good stuff. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and move on. We've kind of had our discussion there because that is a lot of what this week is going over. So I'm going to go ahead and let's see where we are here. Okay, so moving on to some of the work for this week. There are quite a few class readings in there and websites and videos and things that you can watch. Don't just ignore those. I know it's hard to absorb all of that information, and I don't really intend for you to read every single word of every single website and every single PDF document that you come across for the week. You do have to sort of cull through it and figure out what's good, but there is a lot of good information in there. So you do want to spend some time going through that and trying to absorb that material because there's some good stuff in there as you go through the class. So as you're going through week 1, don't just bypass anything that doesn't look like an assignment that you get points for, but kind of go through the reading and start at the top and work your way down and go through the reading and look at some of the information that's there because it'll really help you understand what this week is talking about. Okay, so week 1. All right, so week 1, the first assignment is researching student data and creating an infographic. So basically, the infographic to me, I'm not sure if you guys have gone and looked at it. I'm going to look at the example here. They have an example of an infographic, and you can actually use those there. I'm going to open it up right here in PowerPoint in the background, and I'll show you what I did. I started to create my own infographic from this. And let's see. So I'm going to go, where did I put that? Let's see if I can find that for you guys too. Okay. And of course, let's see. I just thought I probably need to. Okay. All right. So I think I found my example here. I'm opening that up right now in the background. So let me go ahead and get that open. Okay. So there's a couple different ways you can take this because they're talking about data and assessment and things like that, and then they're also talking about creating these infographics there. So what I did, and you can do it either way. If you've got some data that you would like to present to your students, maybe you give them a test and you go through it and really cull through the the questions and the answers, and you find, okay, this is where we did well, this is where we didn't do so well, whatever. If you've got some data you want to present to your class, that's totally fine. You can make an infographic on that. Or if you just, part of it talked about, think about a procedure that you repeat over and over again in your class. And I'm trying to see what that was. And see if you can use an infographic to present that process in your class. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again with you guys here, and I'll show you something I created really quickly, and I actually may use this, so it's looks like it might be fairly useful. So one of the things you might need to do, I'm going to share my screen here. Oh, let's see. All right. Okay, so let me pop this open here. So you guys should be looking now at this infographic that I created. And I figured out there's kind of this process that students need to know in my math class that they need to go through. That kind of starts with, so you can see I said math quizzes and tests. I should have put in Mr. Zone's class or whatever there. But the following are tips on how to be sure you are successful in my class. And it just kind of goes down. The first thing I have is I have video tutorials. I use a flipped classroom in my class where they watch a video of me presenting the material that they'll need to know the next day in class, and they come into class and we work on the homework together so that they have me available to answer questions. So I go over and I say, first of all, you're going to have some video tutorials, and I say for every section we'll cover, you guys can see that, and then we move on to homework. So the next day we're going to be doing the homework in class, right? For able to get your questions answered in class, you will need to make an appointment with the teacher. So just kind of the process of understanding the concept. We move on to chapter tips throughout the day, throughout the week. I'll be giving you a tip, something that I think you're going to know for the chapter quiz or the chapter test. Then we're going to eventually take a test or a quiz, and then I'm going to talk about that. Then move on to quiz or test corrections. You can do quiz or test corrections, and not only do you understand the material better if you really do the quiz or test corrections, but you can raise your grade a little bit. So I just kind of created this infographic on something that I present in my class quite often. Let me go back to us here, and let's see, I'm going to stop sharing my screen there. Oh, did you guys see that? Did I lose you guys there for a second? Did you see my infographic? I hope you did, because I was pretty sure I was. But it doesn't look like it's sharing it right now. Oh, it does say my screen is being shared, so, all right. Okay, let's see. Okay, let me see. Let me go ahead and get out of that. So basically, I created this infographic that, can you guys still see my screen there? Because now it's telling me that I need to share it. So if you guys are still looking at my infographic, then you might want to let me know so I can go ahead and stop sharing that with you guys. Okay. So basically all I did was I just picked something in my class that I thought was rather complicated. And okay, you guys still with me here? Somebody, because my computer's lagging a little bit. Sorry, I'm thinking maybe I've frozen here or something. I can see some things going on here. So if you guys could just let me know you're still there, type something in the chat room or whatnot. Okay, I'm hoping I didn't lose you guys here. Okay, not getting a response, so I'm kind of wondering if something happened here. Oh, I can hear you.
Yeah, we typed, but I don't know why you can't see it.
Okay. Yeah, it's not showing up now for me for some reason. That's interesting. Okay, all right. So you guys can still hear me though? We're good?
Yep.
Okay, all right. I will just continue then so we don't waste time here. So, all right, fantastic. Thank you. I just didn't want to go on if I was talking to myself here. Okay, so the infographic then, that comes from what I did is are you guys still seeing my screen here? Am I still sharing my screen, which is fine if I do. So I got that by going to right here under assignment 1 right there. I got that right here by clicking on Start Here, 10 infographic templates. And when I click on that, that opens up this right here. And there are some templates that can be used to create your own infographic, basically. So I just modified one of them. I did have to know a little bit about PowerPoint in order to modify it. If you're lucky enough to have the template fit what you want perfectly, or for the purposes of this class, so you don't have to really beat yourself up too badly, if you can make what you're presenting fit in the template, that's fine too. I won't know. Okay, then that's okay. But I did have to edit mine a little bit because I wanted it to be a little bit longer. So what I had to do is go to I liked this one right here. So I went to this, and I just I'm assuming you guys are still seeing PowerPoint. You're still seeing my screen here. I went here and I kind of zoomed in, and I copied and pasted. I changed this the best I could. You can see what I did is it's a little tricky because each of these is a slide. I went here and just modified this. Just said, tests and quizzes. And I just went in here, modified this, and I just started typing here. Okay, and then I just went through and I did that. What I found is at the end I had to modify this a bit. So what I did is first I went and I made this a little bit bigger. I got to go to one of my notes here because I had it in here about where to go do that. So I had to modify the template a little bit. I don't want to, I feel like I'm taking a little bit too much time here. Okay. So I won't spend a whole lot of time in this, but I did have to tweak the template a little bit. Okay. So slide size, design, and slide size. So I did have to go to design and then slide size right here. And I went to custom slide size, and that enabled me to make this slide bigger if I wanted it to be. If I wanted it to be a little bit bigger or smaller, I could make it, instead of 30 inches tall, I could make it 40 inches tall, and that would allow me some more room. Then what I did too, every once in a while, is I would select different areas and say, okay, I want to copy and paste that. This is getting a little bit, taking a little bit too long, and I don't want to waste your guys' time. But basically, I modified this a little bit, okay? If you want me to spend a little more time on this, I can put some tutorials out there for you guys if you feel like it, but I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this right now. I don't want to waste your guys' time right now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. Okay, you guys still with me here? Got just a little bit more to go. Okay, so that's the first assignment. You're going to make this infographic that looks like that infographic that I just shared with you. It can be presenting data if you like that idea, some stuff from a formative or a summative assessment if you want to present that to the students, or you can just pick some sort of process, how to make sure your homework is getting completed or whatever, something you feel like you go over again and again, and it tends to get a little bit muddled because it has lots of steps. That was my tests and quizzes for me, because there were chapter tips and there were the video tutorials and there was the homework we did in class and there were test corrections and quiz corrections, and those are slightly different, and it just got a little muddled. So it could be something like that too. It was an online app instead of PowerPoint in there. I just saw that pop up. Maybe I'm able to see that. To make the infographic, absolutely, yeah. If you've got one that you think is going to work better for you, that's a fantastic idea. It tends to be something that's printable, although I might be willing to, we could bend on that one a little bit too if you had like a Prezi or something like that that you wanted to present to the students. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. You do not need to use just PowerPoint. I tend to use Google Slides whenever I can, so PowerPoint just happened to be there. I liked that template that they had, and I was able to just kind of modify it for my own needs, so I didn't have to design my own template. But if you've got something else you want to use, go for it. All right, let's go ahead and move on then. I think we just have one more thing to talk about. And let's see. And okay, we can just modify and save the examples. Yes, you can. What I ended up doing is maybe I can share my screen again here. What I ended up doing is I ended up modifying that, and I'll show you what I did. So let's see. I'll say just an application this time. Let's see. Okay. So you guys should be looking at PowerPoint. What I did is I went in and I just deleted all the slides that I didn't want, that weren't the template that I wanted. So I just deleted all these excess slides like I'm doing right now. And then I just changed the one I wanted. So I just did like I just showed you, zoomed in on this and then, double clicked and just changed the text. And then when I was done, I just went to File, and then I think I did Export right here. And you can say create a PDF document right there. Okay. There's several ways you can do this. I also could have gone to Save As. And once I pick the place that I want to save it, then I need to choose the type of file if I'm remembering this correctly. So notice I've got several different types of files here, and one of them is a PDF file right there. So I saved it as a PDF. Then you can go ahead and share that, any way you want. For the purposes of this class, if you use PowerPoint, you can just share it as a PowerPoint if you want to, and I can just look at it that way if that's easier for you. But this is how I did it. So I just saved it as a PDF. You can also save it as a PowerPoint if you want. If that works easier for you to share it with me, that's okay. If the application that you are using has a way to save it as a PDF or something like that, that's fine. If it's something that's only viewable online, then there's most likely a way to share it as a link or something like that. So you could just go into the assignment Dropbox, and then you could just put a link to your infographic. That would work fine. Hopefully that answers your question there. Okay, I'm going to go back and make sure we didn't miss anything. I'm opening up our notes here. Let's see. Come on. Oh, yeah. Helps if I click on that. Okay, good. I'm glad that answered your question. All right. So let's see. PowerPoint. And okay, and I think the only other thing, I'm going to go check on this as you guys are looking at that. There's some reading in there. There's that infographic. There's the discussion board. So there's a discussion board question. That's in there. There is a webinar reflection, but I had said if you participated in this today, then you didn't need to do this reflection. So the webinar reflection there you don't have to do. You get the points for that just for being here. And the only other thing you have to get ready for is there was something in there about during week 3, you're going to be interviewing someone on assessment and data. So you might want to start thinking about that. Who will you interview? Is there a person at your district or even at your school site that you can interview on assessment or data? So your principal or assistant principal allow you to interview them. So you just want to be thinking about that and kind of getting that ready, preparing that interview, because it's going to come fast, and you don't want to be during week 3 on Monday morning. You don't want to be saying to yourself, "Oh, who am I going to interview?" and then be frantically trying to set something up, for an assignment that's going to be due at the end of the week. So you want to go check that out. There's information in the week 1 assignment. You want to go check that out and just kind of, start wrapping your head around that and start preparing for who are you going to interview for that assignment that you're going to see during week 3. Okay. That's about it. The rest of it was on the reflection, and we don't need to, you guys are all here. Everybody made it, so we don't need to worry about the reflection. You already got the points for the discussion board, and there's no need to do a reflection since you guys were here and you all participated and did such a great job giving me some ideas on assessment and formative assessment, summative assessment, how you use it. You guys did great with that. So we are done. If you have any questions, you're welcome to hang out. If not, you can go ahead and take off. You can log out now, and I will go ahead and hang out just for a few minutes, and then I'll leave too. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. You guys have a great night.